I have nothing saved. If I quit my job and if I just put all my focus on my job into YouTube, I might be able to make my rent. I think I made $950. And so it was just enough to make my rent. And then from that point on, I've just been living off of YouTube. And that scarcity mindset has never left.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first flagship episode of the Reactorverse Podcast. As I said before, this is a podcast that's going to focus on the ins and outs of the creator space, the reactor space, specifically for now. And we have a long list of guests that we're going to get to, but the first one I wanted to make sure that we got kind of on our first, debut episode was this man, my good friend, Greg Alba, a veteran in the reactor space and creator space in general. Greg, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Eric, for having me. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well.
This is so serious.
It's really great.
This is how we talk. We talk in this tone all the time. Hello, Greg. Nice to speak with you.
Hello.
Every time.
To speak with you.
I'm going to throw you off your game today, Eric.
That's fine.
I want you to have a really uncomfortable first time doing this today.
Don't worry. That's what we need. That's what we need. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to get into the ins and outs of you, yourself, the channel, the Real Rejects, kind of how this all sort of started and like how it's gone over the last, decade now that you've been doing it.
I was born at Kaiser Permanente, Van Nuys Hospital, I believe.
Oh, yeah?
And from that moment on, I knew what I wanted to be, a reactor.
Well, I wanted to ask, so the thing is, I always start with, for the channel itself, I always start with, the name, which was, the Real Rejects. How did you come up with that name specifically as like the brand that you want to kind of run with? Was it a hard process to figure out? Was it something you kind of just like thought of really quickly, just jumped into?
At the time when the idea of doing a YouTube channel I was first approaching John to see if maybe we could, John Humphrey, my main co-host, to see if we like, hey, could we start up a channel together? Should we do one? And at first I wanted to do stoner rejects, stoner reviews. And he was living at home with his family at the time, and he didn't like that idea. And so I was like, fine. But we were both had a weird obsession with Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. And at the time, I was not hyper aware that everyone in LA comes up with something that replaces the word R-E-A-L with the word R-E-E-L. So I came up with Real Rejects, and then come to discover there's a lot of people who like to do a little spin on the word real to mean authentic. So yeah, it wasn't exactly as original as I hoped, but yeah, no, that was the idea, and I like the idea that there could always be a default too. If we're stupid or something like that, we could always just go, we're the rejects. Hey, we're stupid or something like that.
That's funny because that was like almost a similar experience to what I had with just the name Nerd Chronic. It was like, I thought of something that was like nerd something, and then we picked the name Chronic with a friend of mine for our old podcast, and it was the same thing. It was kind of like, it sounds associated with weed, but it's not. It's just the word chronic, like the idea of like chronic in like the larger aspect.
Mine was very much associated with weed. I wanted to just be high all the time and have an excuse to be high all the time. And now I barely ever smoke weed. So.
But when you started though, for the first several years of the channel, we don't have to get too far into it because it's a bygone era, but you were going by the pseudonym Ryan Wright.
Yes, sir.
Was there a reason like for that specifically why you chose to go by like a fake name as opposed to your real name?
Started off as something like pretentious bullshit. What it was that I had heard, I was like, I want to transition out of, I didn't know what YouTube really was. Like plain and simple. I didn't understand the real concept of it. Like I was a fan of Ebert and Roper when growing up watching movie reviews. So I just wanted to have like a movie review channel. But then I was like, I eventually want to transition to like doing other stuff. And then I was like, I should probably come up with like a different name. so that way I could transition out of it. And then I came up with Ryan Wright. I was obsessed with Ryan Gosling, so I came up with Ryan Wright, and then John did Jerry. So we were doing the show. We were doing a movie review show. We called it Reasons to See, and it was like our different kind of platform. But that did not do well. Like it did not do well at all, and like it got no views and no traction, and we got no subs. And we were doing that for a while, and then but John was focused on he was in college, so I was like, I just got to take this channel into my own hands then. So that show essentially slowly just went, it was nothing. It was just like didn't do anything. And then I started doing my own solo videos then. And I used that opportunity as Ryan Wright to kind of get away with like doing a lot more provocative humor, because I felt like I could hide behind a name. Yeah. And so like I was obsessed with like Louis C.K. humor and old school Eminem, where you would just kind of say whatever you wanted just to kind of provoke people. And there was no one really like that in movie talk space. And then I was also kind of obsessed with like the Judd Apatow humor at the time. So I liked the idea of doing like a self-deprecating, like perverted kind of humor where it was like raunchy and like but the idea is that like if I make a sex joke or something like that, like I'm the idiot, you know? And so it became a really like an outlet for me to let stuff out. Like I grew up very Catholic, and I was just coming out of a thing where I was doing business where it was very much about how you presented yourself all the time. And so that was kind of like my way of rebelling against all the things that I grew up with and using like my actual like real edgy sense of humor. The thing with being Ryan Wright though is that, you know, I was doing like 3 to 5 videos a day at the time, and you know, I'd bring female guests on, and a lot of them knew like off camera, they could tell like off camera I wasn't like an actual like creep, but so a big part of it was just to like provoke all the time, and so I generated like a big male audience who loved the sex jokes. I think I've made every dick joke I can make. Like I think I'm like dick joked out at this point. And so it reached a certain point where I was like, yeah, you know, it became it was really like an outlet to let out a different side of me that I had kind of contained for a very long time, because I was always so concerned about presentation and image. So I used a name to hide behind that. But then after a while, I did realize that like it did limit me on my authentic self, and even in my personal life it limited me, because wherever I went people only saw Ryan Wright, and I couldn't really even have like a real conversation like I'm having with you right now, because I felt the need to like my way of channeling. I heard you watch Ryan funny enough, Ryan George pitch meeting. I'm sure you've seen some of Ryan George. Yes. He says like when he gets into character he has to like this big smile and everything like that. And for me, like to get into the Ryan Wright personality, I'd always go into like my low register pervy voice. I'd go like, what would I say? I'd go like, "Hey everyone, I'm Ryan Wright." So it was always like this, like I'm a bro, and it was fun. It was really fun, but yeah, no, it definitely limited me on what I could do, and it was uncomfortable, like going places and being like, I'm not really just like some pervert kind of guy. Like that's just for. It's for the camera to make to say joke. Like every video I would do for my solo reviews, for like solo movie reviews, it was always about performing fellatio on some male actor or something like that. You know? So I just ran out of material after a while when you're doing so many videos a day with no real audience to like you can't hear people laughing or whatever. So yeah, no, I wasn't. That was a big part of the. I still got to learn a way to just summarize it in like 60 seconds. So, yeah.
No, that's good. No, it's good to know just the whole trajectory of that. But when you started though, as Ryan Wright doing the first, few years of Real Rejects, did you have like a certain game plan of what you wanted to do with the channel, or was it kind of just like more experimentation?
I wanted to do movie reviews so I could transition to screenwriting, and I just wanted a part-time. I didn't realize you could actually make money doing YouTube.
Right.
And so my short version is that I was a receptionist at a doctor's office. I was working about 40 hours a week there, and then I was doing 30 hours a week doing YouTube. And I was doing this for a long time, like a year and a half. And like I said, like the reviews just weren't going anywhere. And then John was limited availability. So I was like, I just got to learn how to edit. I got to learn how to film. I got to learn how to do all this. And then I started doing solo reviews, and those started doing better. And then when I discovered reactions, it was off of an idea that this is silly. Like this is kind of I thought it was kind of dumb to me, like what it was. And I can't remember what my very first one was that I did. Because at first I kind of laughed at it in the way how a lot of people laugh at it when they first see it. I was one of those. If we're going to compare it to the Bible, I was like Saul, became a believer. So the I think it was like Maleficent or something like that. And
it was Maleficent. I think it might have been RoboCop.
RoboCop or Maleficent?
Research.
Okay.
One of those two. Yeah, it was early to mid-November that you did both those two in doing my research on your existing works.
Okay. I don't remember the RoboCop one. I remember the Maleficent one because I made a Malefa. I don't want to say the word right now. I don't know how edgy we be on this podcast, but the C word. And then I thought it was, and then it got like views. And even though I was just kind of mocking what it was, I was like, oh, I wanted to kind of find like what's a genuine way of doing this, because at the time there wasn't like a lot of people doing it. Now there's like so many people doing it, but at the time there wasn't a lot of people doing it. And the most common thing I would notice, and it sounds so like basic, but at the time it really wasn't basic. A lot of people weren't doing this because I wanted Real Rejects to be like mainly movie reviews. Was like, oh, why don't I just I would do trailer reviews, but those got no views. So I was like, why don't I just combine it where I can combine the comedy that I had at the time, the very specific kind of comedy I had at the time, with doing like a trailer reaction and doing a trailer, like a full, like actually having a because that was like a big criticism of reactions at the time, was people would just kind of, do the reaction and then call it a day. They would just say subscribe right afterwards. And to me, I'm like, oh, I can make like a full video. And that was the engagement part that I thought was the most fun, was the commentary. So then I use that as an opportunity to like, I've always been a big fan of talk shows. Like Conan O'Brien's my hero. So I would bring on guests all the time. And I would like find people, like whether it be Craigslist or whatever. Mainly Craigslist was a big way to like find. I didn't know how to get people, or I didn't really know people. But then I made a lot of great friends. And so that's how I met a lot of people. And then I would just bring them on as guests, and that part has never really left the channel because I've always liked kind of that talk show back and forth vibe. And then it started to take off because I remember in the first year of doing it, when I was doing that 40 plus 30 hours, I didn't realize you had to enable something on your Google AdSense in order to make money. So I made no money, like none at all. And then I enabled it, and then I made 50 cents. And I took a screenshot of that. And I have it on my old Instagram somewhere. And I took a screenshot of that, and I was like, it's working. And I started doing the math of like, okay, I'm getting like 10 subscribers a day. If I'm getting 10, I would do this like on the road to like work. I was like, if I get 10 subscribers a day, then I can, then I could, what if I increase this to 20 subscribers a day, then 30 subscribers a day, and just like kind of doing the math. And it wasn't until I think the one that really started to take off for me was actually when I did Vampire Academy, because I think it was because like I was I was like real about it. Like I come across like such a, especially at that time, I come across like such a dude, like such a bro. And then I watched it, and I was like, I really like this shit. Like I love, and it was so female centric. And I was like just some bro who came across like I really like, and I did. And that's when the audience started to come in. I started covering the raid, and there wasn't a lot of American audiences covering the raid at the time, and I was really into martial arts. And so it was finding that pocket that really was. I just kind of followed the ebb and flow of it, and then I didn't realize like, oh, I could, because I had always heard the phrase. Not always, but for a few years, I'd heard the phrase work full-time on your job and part-time on your fortune, and eventually your fortune will become your full-time job. And once I realized I could make money on YouTube, I was like, oh, I got to find a way to do that, to convert this into my fortune. And I'll never forget, like it was, I was really good at my job as a receptionist, but then I started to really get awful at it because I really hit a point. Like I almost got fired a couple of times because like I was instrumental. I was always been a fan of like understanding how business works and how to grow a business. So I helped out with that for a while, even though I was just a receptionist. But then the last couple months, like I had gotten in trouble quite a bit, and I was like, I gotta get out of here because I am like not attentive and I am messing up a lot, and and I deserved it. I was like really awful. I was I started becoming terrible at the job, and I was like, all right, my rent at the time was pretty cheap. It was only like, the actual rent was only like $800 or something like that at the time, $750 to $800. And
the bygone era of early 2010s.
Yeah. It was like 2015, I want to say 2014, 2015. And I was living, and I was living in Highland Park before Highland Park started sprucing up as of late. But my rent was $750, and I had no savings. I had nothing, and the most I had ever made on YouTube, with the limited time I had to work on it, was like $400. So $400 to $450, and I was like, okay, you know what? I have nothing saved. However, if I quit my job and if I just put all my focus on my job into YouTube, I might be able to make my rent. And so I took the leap of faith and I really hustled. And then I made I think I made $950. And so it was just enough to make my rent. And then from that point on, I've just been living off of YouTube. And that scarcity mindset has never left. And no matter if the channel does phenomenally well in 1 month or whatever, that mindset of mine is like, I'm always on survivor mode, like constantly. So yeah.
So it was a bit of an educated leap though, like because you kind of did the math in your head of like what you were currently generating and what you thought you could increase by a larger output of the work that you could dedicate yourself to. Yeah.
Now I'm at a different point with the channel where I'm trying to do less videos. Because there was a time where it was like, because the algorithm really changes. But back then it was like 5 to 6 minute videos, sometimes 10, whatever. But I would never have mid rolls or anything like that. But I would just kind of dish them out. Like I didn't put as much I always put the thought into mainly I would mainly just do jump cuts, but I wouldn't really do much else other than when it came to the editing. I put most of it into what we're doing on camera as the form of entertainment. And we weren't covering like shows or movies, it was like trailers or viral videos or something like that. That was mainly the focus. And what was your original question again, Eric?
Just trying
journey. I didn't realize we'd go this far back, so it's kind of fun. Like, oh my god, this has been a journey. I never think about these times, so it's just kind of professional.
Just the leap of faith, as you said. What was it like? Just kind of doing the math in your head to anticipate this can be a living for me, because it was the same thing I did when I left my also full-time job to start working as an editor full-time for the Schmodown and elsewhere. I was just like the idea of like, I need to have the confidence to make sure that this will work out.
Yeah.
So when you left your job, your receptionist job, like, did you have like an idea, a pretty good like roadmap of like, I can do this much to make this much by this time?
Yeah. I mean, it was an educated guess because the thing is that, the Schmodown, did they pay you wages or was it commission based?
It was a wage.
Okay, yeah. You see, like that's the part that a lot of people are terrified of. I come from doing I'll just say it, I did network marketing before. It was a real weird time in my life. I'll say that much. A real weird time. But that taught me a lot about, I always compare my time in network marketing to and I said it before I left because it was a real life warping experience that I was really dedicated to for like a couple of years. And I would say that it was kind of like Bruce Wayne with a League of Shadows and Batman Begins.
Right.
There was a lot of not so good things about network marketing that I'm sure like John Oliver did a special on it. I'm like, that's true. But there was a lot of things I learned about mindset, like there's like the beginning parts, like Bruce Wayne in the beginning there, like, oh, there's actually a lot of great things the League of Shadows wants to do. And then it gets to a point where never mind, these philosophies are becoming thwarted and this is actually bad. And so for me, I was able to take the good of that, leave that behind, and I applied, and a lot of the mindset was there and one of the things I learned was, profits are better than wages. Wages make you a living, but profits make you a fortune. So I was okay with embracing doing commission. And that's the scary part for most people, is most people are programmed to live by wages or hourly pay. And I really wanted to learn to get away from that, because I feel like there's such a limited ceiling to it. And so that was the scary part, was like, I'm going off of the gamble that I can keep my videos monetized, because in the reaction community, that's going to be a very hard thing. And to keep my videos monetized, and to be able to go, I might be able to double this if I just do double the videos. And now I'm trying to transition the channel to doing less videos, but make a similar amount of money, because I'm hiring more people now and more on camera talent as well. And I like to think I actually pay people. I think people would say, like, I pay pretty well. I like to make them feel like they're being paid well. I've had, I don't want to like, I'll end it there. Yeah. People who say, like, I pay pretty well per hour.
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you were, again, like you said, getting started, learning how to kind of like maintain the channel for yourself, you mentioned learning recording, editing, so on. Was there a distinct learning curve in terms of the tech and the going into it to just make the channel, get started?
Wow, these are so fascinating to journey back. What a reflective time. It's making me appreciative of where I'm at now. I like this podcast, Eric. I'll be here every week. There was. In the beginning, I would shadow, because John had a better understanding at the time when we were trying to do it together. At the time, he had a better understanding of how to edit, because he was in film school and shit, and he had experimented a lot on his own with making stuff together. So I would study like the basics. Like I was like, one thing I had always been taught too was, really master fundamentals. So I was like, I need to learn timing on jump cuts. I need to learn about jump cut. Like that was the main thing to me, was I just want to understand, a good jump cut and timing of that. And then from there, I learned that, and then how to, crop stuff. I was just iMovie for most of the years. It was just iMovie, and it was a learning curve, but I always tell people that when they're starting up a channel, that's when it's the most fun, because there's less risk involved. A lot of people who don't start up, they get so particular about what to do. And I say it's a playground in the beginning, and that's how you got to kind of treat it. Like I did this for almost 2 years. First year, there was like one whole year where it was just pretty much just me, and for making no money, like nothing at all. And that is the playground time of learning how to do stuff and going, I wonder how I can do this, or how does someone do that? And then you have Google at the tip of your fingers, or you just kind of click around and figure shit out. Because I think when you first look at an editing system, if you're not familiar, and you probably, I don't know if you would have, I don't know if you were just some like freaky genius, Eric, but for me, it's incredibly daunting when you first look at it. And when I want to like graduate to a better editing program, I look at it and it's like, I don't know anything. I just right away, my mind just goes, I don't know anything. This is too hard. It's too complicated. And it's just one step at a time. And you do kind of just learn a couple of things. You kind of learn where some things are located to where you can then experiment and drop shit in. And in the beginning, the editing was easier. But then when I was like, I want to make some sketch, I did a couple of early sketches back in the day. And that to me was, I would intentionally shoot some stuff just to see how can I learn how to edit this. There's one video that we did called the Raid 3, and there's a fight scene in there that people really liked. And learning how to edit a fight scene I've never done that before. But it's once you learn the basics, you realize everything else from there is pretty simple. It's not simple, but you can figure it out once you get down the basics of where shit's located in an editing system. And I think a lot of people get too terrified of that when it's like, no, just learn like where the crop is, and learn where the volume part is, learn where the simple stuff is. Keep doing that repetitively, and then when you want to go, how do I do this? Then you figure it out. And in the beginning though, especially with the reactions, I'm sure in those like Maleficent videos, I was shooting those off of my laptop. That was not like good quality. It was not good quality shit. And then eventually you graduate as you start getting more followers or making more money. Then you graduate and you start upgrading your quality, and you upgrade your equipment and stuff. And I think subscribers tend to appreciate that. Like we film with these now too for better audio. And before, for many years, for most of the time we've been doing this, the audio has been god awful. But but it wasn't until like 1 million subscribers we started using these. So yeah, I mean, I think you can. I think you just got to learn to fail your way through stuff and embrace like making mistakes. That's just been it happens all the time. Like today, day of filming this, uploaded 2 videos that are like 2 of the lowest performing videos of the month so far, and this took a lot of work, and it's a bummer. But you know, you just kind of you get a little affected by it at first, but then you kind of shake it off and go, all right, well, what's next? So
right.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's a great philosophy. You know, because you said like you're learning the fundamentals, learning the basics of how to edit is like just the stepping stones to doing greater things. It's kind of like, because I know you took martial arts, as you said, and so it's just kind of the same concept. It's like you learn the basics, the forms, the fundamentals, and then that is like what gives you the foundation to expand and like do kind of, you know, more tricky things with it.
Oh, absolutely. I think anyone in sports would always talk about that. It's always about fundamentals. Everything's about fundamentals, and a lot of people try to just hop to the next thing. You know, some people want like the fanciest camera in the fan without knowing how any of it works, and like just start with the basics first and experiment from there. I meet people all the time who are like, I want to start my podcast, I want to start my channel. And I think 9 out of 10 people will not get around to it because they get in the way of feeling like they got to like over prepare a setup or some bullshit.
I'm definitely one of those people. I'm definitely one of those people who, when I start something, I think of all the avenues of like, you know, just thinking, what if I run to this thing later? I need this tool for that thing. And like, you're right. It's one of my favorite quotes, you know, philosophies is don't get it right, get it written. Just
nice. I like
do
that.
it. Yeah, just do it. You'll figure it out along the way. You can adjust. You can fine tune it, perfect it later, but you just got to start doing it.
Yeah. No, that is. A lot of people don't. A lot of people take that for. It's like a board game to me. I am terrible when you're explaining what the rules are to me. I can't. I will not. I'll zone out, and I eventually will be like, I don't know what you're telling me anymore. But so a lot of times I go, let me just play one round. And then, you know, let me ask questions along the way. Then I play like one round, and then eventually, you know, as you start to play, okay, I get this game now. I get the game now. But if you're, yeah, that to me is kind of like how I run my whole life. Is just go, how do I do this? You know, I think the three questions I heard to ask yourself in a situation is, what can I do? Who can I talk to? And what can I read or research or look up on the internet, kind of basically. So a lot of times I go like, can I do it? If I don't know, let me ask this person. If they don't know, what can I research? And so there's always an answer, you know. But yeah, the most important thing is just start doing it instead of waiting for the right up. A lot of people wait for the fielding when I'm like, no, you just got to go do it.
But yeah, you mentioned John being, you know, a big help to you getting started.
Definitely.
And sort of, yeah, like helping you learn the ins and outs of the editing stuff. I want to know, like, what is your history with John? Like, how long have you guys been friends? And what was the process like, you know, sort of getting him involved for the channel? Was it something that you envisioned with him immediately, or was it something that you kind of like thought of like, you know, after things were rolling already?
Yeah, I wanted it to be him and I. That was John and I have very different kinds of, even though we grew up go in the same school together, essentially our upbringings and our whole life are drastically different, and who we formed into people is very different. Like I've had to definitely survive, you know, a lot of times in my life, and you know, I don't want to speak too much to. He's not here in the room, so I don't want to like speak too much for him in a lot of ways. He's never really been in that position as an adult where he's like had to survive. Like he's always had a safety net when it comes to where he can stay, where he can live, and whatever. And for me, I haven't. And I think that does form two different kinds of mindsets. So for me, you know, like I'm always the one, like I'm willing to just sacrifice all the sleep. And, you know, I got ridiculed a lot at the age of like, I'm going to do this YouTube thing and I'm not going to go to college, you know, and, or he was doing the more traditional path and I went the very anti-traditional path. And a lot of people were really upset with me on that. So for him, it was just kind of like a thing he could do on the side with me. But for me, I was like, no, this is a real thing. This is a real thing I'm going to launch. It's a real thing, a real business for me. So I've known John since I've technically known him since first grade, but I didn't really become friends with him until third grade. And when we sat across from each other, and we had always had, like we'd always like love talking about movies, and ever since we were like little kids, like little kids, talking about movies was our jam. Like his parents, mainly his dad was in the film business, and my dad was obsessed with movies and stuff. So we were always talking about films, and we had a similar kind of sense of humor always. It's like, I want to change this channel up. It's actually surprisingly, I found it a little bit hard. There's a lot of people you can talk about movies with. There's not a lot of people you can really click with on camera, though, which I thought was a little interesting. It's like, there's some people I could talk with on movies, but when you bring them on camera, it's not the same thing. And at the time, I didn't really know that many, so John was working at Blumhouse, but his department was about to shut down, so I hit him up, and I said, like, hey, do you want to give this another shot with just being here, and like just working full time here, with me here, and so. Yeah, that's how he came back into the fold to be a full-time person. Because before he was just looked at as kind of like a guest, and people would be like, "Why doesn't John have his own channel?" And now he's here, and so for him and I working together, I mean, he is like, out of anyone I do anything on camera with, I mean, I think it's obvious that I have the most natural kind of back and forth in chemistry. We read off each other very well, but I've always wanted him around because he does provide something that is just irreplaceable in my eyes.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Really long. I'm not giving you anything thorough. Everything is just rambling because my mind is.
I love it.
My mind is darting between the past and the present.
The roller coaster, everything.
Yeah, I'm like, it's going like, well, I'm going way back to now. I'm trying to like connect the dots myself.
That's what we gotta know. We gotta know, like, when you were kids in first grade, your first grade teacher, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you whatever, man. I know I'm all over the place here.
No problem at all. But you mentioned reaching the 500,000 mark and, shifting your perspective on the channel, stuff like that. Was there a milestone early on that you kind of felt like I've sort of hit something here? Like I feel comfortable that we're getting some sort of traction with this.
Yes. In terms of subscribers, I would weirdly say it was 30,000 subscribers. There was something about 30,000. I think it was 10,000 was like, whoa, shit, I'm doing it. 30,000 was cool. Like I was around the time when I really started bringing on guests and a journey way up there. And that was the first time I held a party, with a little bit of people like, oh, I want to celebrate 30,000 subscribers, and there's like 7 of us. So that was fun. There was a person, I don't know if I should say their name. They worked with a really huge YouTuber, one of the biggest YouTubers of all time. And they had gotten hired by Legendary this was when it was brand new for studios to start, how like every studio now has, like, they have their influencer marketing department team where they send their influencers out on shit. This is how I learned what the word influencer was when I signed a contract, and I didn't know what an influencer was when they said influencer signature. And I was like, what is this? What is an influencer? So it was a very old video you can find of mine where I went to the 300 Rise of an Empire movie premiere, and I didn't know this. She didn't want to put the pressure on me about it, but this was essentially an audition, not for me, but an audition for Legendary Pictures to open up the door to working with other YouTubers, and my video would be the reference point for it. I didn't know any of this until after the video went over well with Legendary. I didn't know any of this. So yeah, like
you really could have screwed things up.
I really could have, they started working with like some big YouTube, and I had no idea that she didn't want to put the pressure on me because I was like 30,000 subscribers. It wasn't like that. I wasn't a big deal by any stretch. And so the whole point of the video was just like, invite this guy to the premiere, let him really vlog it, and let him really make a whole video about it. And while the video didn't generate huge numbers, it was the content of the video and the response, and then Legendary, I don't know who the hell they were, but whoever was in charge of giving the green light to go, let's open up that door now to get like actual big YouTubers. It started with that, and to me, I was flattered they took a chance on me. The funny part was they they had never invited me back for anything, which was just like weird to me. When I'm like, well, you told me that this was the thing that started it, and this would open up the door. Because I eventually got invited to one event that was for Godzilla. They asked me to do like this one cute little video for them, and then when I went there, the lady who had hired me for that, well, they didn't hired, I guess, but the lady who hired me for that, she told me, like, because I went to the YouTube space and it was all this like legendary stuff and all these YouTubers. I was like, what is this? And she's like, well, you started all this. And then she told me what it was all about. And so, yeah, that was like, to me, that was a pivotal point. I don't really talk. So I was like, why didn't you ever invite me back?
I guess similarly though, with the YouTube space being, a part of it at that point, was there any, time when you felt like I've kind of made it with with your peers, with the people that you had kind of like you've been seeing in the YouTube space as well? Like you started to sort of like be one of the names that would be tossed around with them in terms of like the channels that people would go to gravitate towards?
No, that still hasn't quite registered with me to this day. And I never I don't even really mean it in a sense of I'm trying to think of like I remember I went on Schmodown, right? I remember I went on Schmo's their show, and that was really nerve-wracking for me. That was extremely nerve-wracking. I did movie fights, Screen Junkies movie fights. I did terrible on it. Wasn't invited back. I was shunned. I was terrible on it. And even to this day, like I can meet people who have less of a subscriber count. I think what has really changed me though is you see though that if someone truly has an ego, it's the most off-putting thing in the world, because everyone is really trying. A big part of what our movie talk side of the internet does is a big part of it is, especially if you're just like a commentator mainly, is to make it look like that it doesn't take a lot of work. Like it's a big part of the deceit, is to make it look like we just a lot of people might just be like, oh, all you do is just watch a movie and you got the easiest job in the world. And yeah, like there are people definitely with harder jobs. But it's not to say like a lot of days I am plugging away for like 12 to 15 hours. And I think a lot of us do work a lot and do work hard and put a lot of thought into it. And if you meet someone with a real ego, I'm like, I don't even care to be around this person at all, no matter how popular they are. One of the nicest people I've ever met is a guy named James from Dead Meat James A. Janice from Dead Meat James. And I met him in Mexico for an event for the Nun. The guy had gained like 1 million subscribers in a year. And it was because like he did this in the year of adpocalypse and everything. And he wasn't aware of any of that shit, because he just focused on his own content, his own work. Now he's like a superstar. He's got like 7 million subs, and he knows all these like big time directors. He's in the Scream movie. Like he's huge. But to me, I've never had even with him, like I can still feel daunted by it. And I still have a moment where, like I could be around Christian Harloff, and despite, this channel, technically having bigger numbers, I could still be around him and be like, that's Christian Harloff. Like my mind will still go there. Like that's Christian Harloff. And I think the other part, even like meeting like Eric Voss from New Rockstars and hanging out with him, is you realize that everyone is just, when you get to know everyone, unless they have a true, like, man, they behave like a dick in real life. And I haven't met a lot of them, but unless you get to meet, when you get to really meet people, you do see everyone's just a human being. And if they don't behave that way, then I'm not even, my days of trying to like get your approval are far behind me of that. But no, I've never really quite felt like I think the reason why I'm dancing around this answer now, I just realized in my own psyche of what's going on with me. is because at the time when this channel started to really blow up, I was a part of the group. You know, there was like Tyro Magnus and Akasan and myself. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't a whole bunch of us. There was like a bunch of people who do, you know, like they really do a lot of show reactions and movie reactions and stuff. But at the time, I was lumped into that category with these folks where reaction channels were being called the cancer of YouTube. You know, like there was so much hate. There was these other channels that were just like dedicated to taking down reaction channels. And viewed it as like the scum of YouTube. And that there was a bit of a, I still feel it in my heart. Like when I talk about it, like it was a bit of a traumatizing, it forced me to make the channel better. Like I really wanted to up the editing and up the quality. I really wanted to show like, no, there's like some real fucking effort that goes into this, you know? And that, so it made the channel better, even though I thought the channel was already fine as it is, but it made it better. But that part of me has never left. So everywhere I go, I still feel like, I wonder if this person really hates what I do or hates me just for the category I often belong to, you know? I think it's different when you look at like the movie and show reaction sides of things. Like a Blind Wave, for example, or Emon's No, you know, where it's like mainly that, because it's very evident that takes a lot of work to put one of those videos together, like a show versus putting a trailer reaction together. One is much less time consuming to put together, and I think with like when all we mainly did were like trailer reactions and stuff. Even though I put a lot of work into like the commentary and really wanting that to shine and show that there was thought going into this, like I would have, if it was another YouTuber's video, I'd have other YouTubers who would hit me up being like, I remember it was one of those, like, I won't say who it is, but it was one of those like horror channels that would do like, you know, like 3 scary things or whatever like that, and put a lot of thought into their script. And I did a reaction to their video. And at the time, one of the lessons I learned is like, you know, now I definitely like try to get some type of permission, but back then I wasn't really on top of getting permission a lot at the time. Right. And I didn't ask for permission to cover his video, and he hated reaction videos. And he's a huge channel. And he emailed me and he said to me that he's like, hey, you didn't ask permission to do my video, but I'm going to let you keep it up because I actually really liked your commentary on the video. So you can keep it up, just next time ask me for permission. And to me, that stood out to me. But even at that time of getting like an email like that and sometimes getting messages like that from other big YouTubers, way bigger than myself, I was still part of that camp where we are the cancer of YouTube, you know, like, and that has never left me. I still to this day, I thought will go off in my head if I meet someone I admire. Like I love Red Letter Media. I loathe the thought of actually meeting them though, because even though I watch their videos all the time, I still go, they probably hate what I do, you know? So yeah, I've never felt like on equal grounds due to that.
That's a great way to articulate it. Like really, just that thought process. Because you're right. Like for like a long time, even up until I'd say like just several years ago, the reaction space was kind of viewed as like low effort type content. I think the culture around it has shifted now. I think there's a large following for it, obviously, and people do see the effort that's put into it by lots of different channels. But for you yourself, like you started so early in this space, like you said, you started in 2012. It's been like a decade now. In terms of like, I guess the culture, but also like the algorithm and like this platform itself, like what's like the biggest changes you've seen, like in terms of like just like the space that you've worked in, reaction or otherwise?
The biggest change, gosh. Thing is, YouTube is always changing. And I remember I once made like I made one of my biggest checks ever. And then it was instantly followed by my income went down by like 70% the very next month. And I had done nothing different. And the views were the same. because before YouTube used to favor, like, it didn't matter, like it wasn't as much rules and intricacies to your algorithm. There wasn't. It was plain and simple,
Right.
I could do like 6 videos a day and get like 70,000 views all the time, or 70 to 100K views, and they could be like 4 to 5 minutes long. And then now it's even, this year alone is weird for people because it's like YouTube is funneling money to shorts, but then they're like, but we want you to do long videos too. Like, what do I do? Shorts don't really pay well, but they get the most views and you get subscribers, but they don't really convert to your normal videos that you do. The biggest change, I think, in the movie space, I think the vitriol has kind of grown in certain camps, when it comes to like the draw. I make fun of it a lot, but like the people that scream woke culture and virtue signaling at every given moment, it's kind of nonstop berating. I don't know if that's really changed though, because drama seems to have always really taken off. I think there's more of a fear in the zeitgeist for YouTubers. That's what I've noticed. There's a big fear of, will my channel survive, or can I monetize my shit? Like that is a constant prevalent thing I see echoed from a lot of YouTubers all the time. Whereas before, that really wasn't a concern. Back then, I could say the most vulgar stuff, the most vulgar, raunchy, racy stuff. I could do the most, like, there's some videos where I did some extreme stuff that was not age restricted. Flat out just pubes on camera and everything, like there was channels like Raka, and there was the guy who would do like vomit cake and stuff. Like you could do the most disgusting things, and it could be the most edgy kind of humor. And I do think that, and I don't use this word lightly because I think the word is often abused, but I think it's true. I think the censorship on YouTube is really hardcore now. Like you get the amount of like muting and blurring, and the amount of big times I see big YouTubers complain about still getting age restrictions or yellow dollar bill signs after you put in like so much. Like my Everything Everywhere All at Once video is one of my favorite videos I've ever done, and that took so much time to put together. That took so much time, and I got age restricted. I contested it. It's got like 280,000 views, and it still pains me that like that video, and even like the head movie producer, like messaged me about that video, and I was so honored by that. And I notice this all the time with people. It's like a lot of times they'll get age restricted. Like my buddy, one of my closest friends in this space, Paul from Heavy Spoilers, he'll do these videos and he'll just get an age restriction. And I'll watch the videos back. And I'm like, I honestly have no idea what's in your video that could have gotten you age restricted. Like I have no idea. So I think the censorship is the most alarming part about YouTube. Is like I'm constantly worried I'm just going to get age restricted. When back then, that was never a concern. That was never a problem. And that has just, and as much as YouTube tries to like put out something once in a while that says, I've taken some measures that I think help out with avoiding. I'm still surprised Cocaine Bear is not age restricted on my channel, but I've tried. But yeah, that is the hardest part. Is there is a. You can still say whatever you want. You just got to sacrifice the monetization, basically. You can still do whatever you want. You just got to sacrifice the monetization. So the freedom of speech still exists. It's just if you want to actually keep your shit monetized, that does not. That makes it much, much harder now. Much harder.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Just with the way last year they implemented the new rule for like not cursing within the first 15-30 seconds that they had to roll back because it was affecting too many people negatively. That was such a big thing, and you're right. That's definitely a strong aspect of what has changed on the platform and how it affects like everyone in the space. But you also mentioned the vitriol of just like working in the space and with like I think.
Yeah, but it's not black and
fellow
white.
Creators.
Like it's not black and white. Like there are some people who are very. I don't know if it's just I just caught on to it late. That's how I guess I'm not fully confident in saying that, because I don't know if I just caught it late of what it is like, because I don't know if it started with The Last Jedi or whatever, but it just seems like it progressively has gotten worse for channels, or just they have like, it's so dedicated to it. And I've seen some, other YouTubers who've really adopted that kind of language too, to really write off of that.
Well, for you though, I guess like dealing with that to maintain like your own, self-image of like, not necessarily falling into that pit, and also dealing with like commenters who kind of perpetuate that sort of, circular attitude. Do you have any like specific philosophy or like tactics that you kind of use in your daily life to sort of maintain your mental stability, to make sure that you're not, again, falling into that sort of attitude?
I think it's okay to like learn what other people are saying. Like, I don't mind watching what other people are saying, because it often leads for material that I find funny to then make fun of or makes satire of, and then it prepares you for kind of the conversation of it.
Right.
I mean, not reading comments is always. I think every YouTuber knows the pitfalls of when you go too deep into a comment dive, especially when you're an opinion-based channel. That's the biggest part of it. But I don't really get affected by it too much outside. I think when it comes to the channel itself, normally what I have found, what I like to do if I'm covering a drama topic is, sure, I'll make the thumbnail. I won't make the thumbnail funny. I'll make it look like it's a drama, like we're going to be dramatic. But when we do the actual, I think like anytime we've talked about even like Ezra Miller, even these Jonathan Majors videos or whatever, I think what people have often echoed in our comments is, or if we're covering some type of like dramatic movie news, rumor, I think what people have often echoed in our comments is like, we still make it pretty funny. Like our thumbnail might not look like we're going to be, but we actually make it like pretty funny. Like, we really care to, because the other day we're just talking about, unless like something truly, like if it's like a sexual assault story or something, like I'm not going to make this funny. Right. But a lot of times there's ways to find humor in it. And I take inspiration from people like Double Toasted and Mr. Sunday Movies for how they can handle like dramatic movie news. Like there's that space that knows how to talk about it without giving into just screaming the same echo chamber thoughts that like, it's like these like common keywords with a lot of the time with no elaboration on why you're saying like the same, like it's so easy. It's just so easy to just go like, it's because of their identity politics, the virtue signaling, the woke culture side of it. They're pushing agendas. And a lot of the time there's not really even followed by, give me some real specifics of like, break down why you're saying that about this subject right here. Other than just labeling the same few words on it. And, but then there's people like Double Toasted and Weekly Planet who really know how to talk about, like, if they talk about one of these movie news stories, they still find a way to find the humor in it. And to me, I take a lot of inspiration from that. And I don't know how to do that like a solo in a video. Like I would need like at least John with me to do that in a video. So to me, that's kind of like my outlet when it comes to handling these kind of conversations around them.
Right. Do you, with the work itself, like, with at this point you're doing reactions, reviews, sketches, like interviews, stuff like that. Is there any specific part of the channel that you're doing now that you find like a little more creatively fulfilling than the others? Or like one you look forward to more? You're like, I get to do this today. Is there some specific aspect that you like to partake in?
Yeah, we don't really we haven't done a sketch in a long time. Those just take the wind out of me. Like the last one we did was, I think, a Batman one or a Spider-Man one of the two. And I did one for the first No Way Home trailer. That took me like 50 hours to put together. And I was like, this is really hard. And I did a Batman one. And so, yeah, we haven't done a sketch in a while. Which is funny because I have a house now, and I'm like, this is the time to do sketches. but I've been getting back into. I've never lost sight of my actual main goal, so I've been getting back more into writing. So I off a lot of my real like creativity to creating shit has gone into that. And at the end of the day, when it comes to making a sketch, I'm asking other people to make more time, and I'm trying to allow, like, especially John, I'm trying to allow him more time to do other things that he really wants to do. So I haven't done a sketch in a while, but the part that I am enjoying the movie reaction stuff a lot lately. There's, I think, like 2020, is 2020 or 2021? It was like, all we're doing is covering Spider-Man No Way Home. all we're doing is covering Marvel. Like, that's mainly what we're doing, is we're just mainly covering, like, Marvel. And it's true. It was like, I would make a joke about, like, 3 days without a Marvel video or something like that, like one of those employees without an accident boards. But I think, like, the variety that we have found that works truly without relying purely on, like, big fandoms like Marvel or DC is the movie reactions. Like, I love that I can cover, like, Kung Fu Panda, which has a fandom, but I love that I could cover Kung Fu Panda. I'm like, oh, this is an old ass movie and it's doing well, and there is a lot of thought that goes into those movie reactions, of even if we get, like, someone else to edit it, like, the actual process of reviewing the edit gets very, it becomes like I just did this for Evil Dead Rise, like, had it to come back, but I spent like at least like an hour and a half, like, reviewing it, of going, like, no, this should be cut or this should be changed, and because I'm really, like, I want to keep people watching, and that one's the fun one of, like, how long can I keep people watching this video for? And
right.
I know our sense of humor doesn't work for everyone. Sometimes people don't want us to make any jokes, but I'm like, there's a lot of people who are going to be covering this. The thing that'll make us a little bit different is, the fact that we have a sense of humor and we're making jokes. It's like, no one else is probably going to make this joke. So if we're going to make our jokes, the opinion, you might hear a very similar opinion from someone else. So, I think the one that does take a pretty good amount of thought is like the movie and show reactions, for sure. Like, for that stuff, like, I enjoy doing that more than, like, trailer reactions and short video reactions, because those are, as you know from putting them together, you've put many together yourself. Like, those are time consuming, but yeah, you're a very reliable editor. A lot of people don't know that about Eric, is that he's a very reliable editor. I don't think I've ever really we've had our issues where it's been like, fuck, keeps getting blocked. But more often than not, I've never really been like, dude, why'd you leave this out? So yeah, you have a pretty good sense of timing on that.
Yeah, thank you. I want to ask, like, so with the movie stuff and everything going on, like, you mentioned earlier that you wanted to break into, like, other things, for the channel, for, like, movie reviews and beyond, for writing and doing your own personal content. Like, is there still an aspiration you have to write or direct, like, anything original for yourself?
Oh, dude, yeah, no, that has not left. There's so much I do not talk about publicly, because I learned my lesson from when we decided to talk about something publicly and it didn't pan out when I was like, we thought it was going to, and then I was like, you should definitely wait till you're at the finish line. And because I don't. I'm never gonna quit on that. I could see myself, like, being 60 and, like, I still gotta sell it. And it's that one Deadline article, honestly. I've even had, like, I've met Chris Stuckman a couple of times and, like, seeing what he's doing and talking with him about, like, I think it's so inspiring what he's doing. And like, yeah, I've told him there was something that, funny enough, it happened right now. We're doing this video like a week ago when the writer strike started happening. And yeah, like, I just don't want to put it out there, like, what the progress is of something, but yeah, we worked on something new. Took like a year to work on it, and then we finally got it in the hands of a pretty big spot, and then they started pitching, but the writer strike started happened. So I was like, okay, no studio meetings now. So yeah, like, there was that. And I'm working on something else right now that I want to I already know who I can probably get to actually direct it, and I've already talked to them about it and they really love it. So and it's something that I think we can produce ourselves. But it's like you talk about these things, and I feel and realize like this, even if we get the funding or start shooting, I'm like, this shit might not come out for like 2 to 3 years. Like these things take a long time to come out.
Right.
So that's why I don't really like talking about it as much, putting it out there publicly. But in private, like, and that's the thing I find the hardest time doing is, especially when I'm like, sometimes I'm working like 12 to 15 hour days, is finding that time to write. So sometimes having like a deadline does help because it's like, doesn't matter, don't sleep, just get it done. But my main joy is still definitely like writing. That is 100% my main joy of when I can sit down and create, and I like bouncing off of other people for it. And I find it kind of like, it is like its own version of editing, where it becomes surgical of going like, what's working, what's not working, what can I change? I get the anxieties and stresses all the time of like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a piece of shit writer, and then I figure it out, and then I'm like, oh my God, I know what I'm doing. This is gonna be good. So and I have like one for a graphic novel idea that I do want to work on, because I don't see myself ever going to I really don't see myself ever being the kind of guy who's like, I have this movie I want to get produced. Here's my Kickstarter. I don't ever see myself really being that guy. However, we do so much about comic book stuff, and I have a great graphic novel idea that I think is really cool, and it's one of my passion projects. And to me, I'm like, well, if I like produced this graphic novel myself, like hire the artist and whatever, I wouldn't mind like promoting that and selling it on the channel. I wouldn't mind doing that because it works with the audience, but I wouldn't ask someone to like fund my film. So like that, I definitely still have a passion for that.
Yeah. Well, one of your graphic novel experts is our good mutual friend Coy Jandreau, who's become a big part of the channel now. I want to ask, like, what was the history there? Like, I mean, when did you first meet Coy? Like, what was that, like an immediate sort of kinship that you guys hit off, or was something that kind of developed over time? And what was the process like getting him to just be more involved with the channel?
I remember there was like when John was first, after that 500,000 subscriber thing I was telling you about, when I hit up John, we were trying out forms of partnerships of like how we can make it work. Before it was just like, I was like, is there a way we're partners, or are you going to be like or are you going to be my employee? Which one's it going to be? I always treat him with a sense of there's a sense of a partnership regardless. He had met Coy, like we would meet Coy at the Schmodown. Schmodown was where we met. We would all meet Coy. We all knew Coy. And like he had tried bringing him on, but Coy was never successfully able to come on. And so that just like didn't pan out. And then it was like a year after that. There was a Schmodown thingy, a Schmodown Awards. And it was when the Corky Mercs thing for Schmodown started, and Coy, I didn't think anyone would select me because I was not good at the game. I didn't think anyone would select me, and I talked with Coy quite a few times, but we weren't like close friends by any stretch. But we had like our conversations, and I always really admired him, and I was a fan of his work. I was like a genuine fan of his work, and anytime I talked to him, we really got along really well. And then he had picked me to be part of the team, and I was really honored, and like what he viewed me as too. He wanted me he's like the Deadpool of the Schmodown, and I was like, I really liked that he said that. I was really honored by that, and he took faith on me when I had zero faith in myself. And then when prepping for Schmodown, it was it really is the Schmodown. As one of my best experiences from Schmodown is getting to really know Coy. And then he, like, there were matches I was like nervous as fuck for, even though I always came across like the guy who didn't give a shit. I really gave a shit a lot for a couple of them, and I would talk with Coy for a long time beforehand, and then we just got to talking about other stuff, like really just got in like we'd just be on the phone. A lot of times like Coy and I will, like once a month I'll just hit him up about something else. Next thing you know, we're talking on the phone for like an hour, like. Usually he's working out or I'm working out, and like we're just talking on the phone for like an hour. So we really clicked, and then I was getting a sense of like what he wanted to do with goals and stuff, and I kept saying like, yeah, man, I should bring you on. I should bring you on. And I was waiting for like the right thing to like, what do I bring Coy on for his first time for? And that's when it was Eternals was when I brought him on. And like, especially if I have a guest like him, my goal is going to be like, I really want them to be the star of this video. I want them to be the one to shine. And you're going to have no problems doing that with Coy. Even if you don't intend that with Coy, he's going to somehow find a way to become the star performer of the video.
He'll shine. He can shine.
He'll talk. He'll talk. And no, he's got, other than the fact that he seems to get like aggressively sick once a month, he's got a really good work ethic, and he is on top of it, and it can be. We haven't done one of our Coys because he didn't have like an actual segment where people were like editing shit around him, So like I came up with Coy's Comic Corner for him to do, and a lot of the ideas of those videos are like suggestions that I've pitched to him. It's just that they take a lot of work to put together, so we just haven't done them in a while. Right. But it is really impressive when you see it, like, especially he could show up here like off of 2 hours of sleep, exhausted. I feel like he's going to not do a great job. And then I don't have that feeling anymore. Like he can show up tired as hell and I know he's going to kill it. And he could, if he could do like a freaking, like, I'm going to rank 50 movies right now. And I didn't rewatch any of them. And he could just like fucking nail it. Like the way his brain works and the way he can connect with the camera and the use of vocabulary, it's really, really impressive what Coy can do.
Again, it goes back to the balance of like, maintaining your own mental stability, working in like either the Schmodown or the internet, being on YouTube, just being a public face, is like such a big thing to just navigate these days, because people don't see you. They see like, again, like still a character performance of someone who's on camera that they know, and they think they could approach them a certain way.
No, there's still always an element of presentation.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think over the pandemic, over the last few years, that kind of got exacerbated like a little bit because people like were so siloed, in their home, watching channels, discovering new channels. And so for you, like, what was that experience like? Going through the early years of the pandemic, I guess in terms of like your real life, adjusting things to stay safe, but also just the channel, adjusting things for what YouTube was doing, what the culture of the audience was doing.
There were people who would say my channel's been blowing up since the pandemic started. That was not the case for us. It didn't blow up for us by any stretch. Like the trajectory of the channel was nothing was happening, then it blew up, then apocalypse happened, and these restrictions, yellow dollar bill signs. And then it kind of stayed stagnant for a couple of years. It was like a few years. I wouldn't say a couple. I'd say like a few, like 3 years. It just was not really growing financially. I was always on edge for like several years again. I was on edge, even like bringing John on board and stuff. Like it was not the definition of living comfortably. Right. It was like the same amount of hours, not making much, and I'm really pushing here every day. And it was WandaVision pandemic time. That was pandemic time, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was around like Mandalorian season 2 that led into WandaVision when everything started to change for us again, where it was like, now we're having our biggest months we've ever had in the history of doing this channel. And I think that was the most eye-opening experience to me because we've covered Mandalorian. You were editing Mandalorian for we covered Mandalorian. You didn't want a vision for us. So we were covering that. And, but that was the first time I'd ever been on such a, like Mandalorian season 2 was something, but WandaVision especially was such a unique case for me to be on quite a journey. Like we had done like you and I had together, done like Game of Thrones and season 8. But the WandaVision was like collectively loved, like what's happening next week kind of experience, and the conversation just never stopped. Even with like you just wait for that next episode, and the conversation never stopped. And that to me was like, oh, this is that feeling of community. That word I've always heard about on YouTube, but I didn't really understand it with a fandom until like right now in this moment. Like, oh, this is the feeling. And to me, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we wouldn't have had that WandaVision. I don't think that WandaVision experience would have, WandaVision still would have come out and shit would have happened. But something about the pandemic I think the focus on it was even more magnified because of the fact that we were all isolated still. And this is what we had to experience as our Marvel Cinematic Universe thing before Marvel became like this divided subject now. And that to me was the most eye-opening. That to me was the real game changer, was WandaVision. And we've kind of, I learned a lot from that experience. That and covering Spider-Man No Way. That was the first time I ever learned about what it means to ride a wave or cover a wave if you're genuinely interested in it. And I've never done that before. And so, but the pandemic itself was, I mean, that's when I got engaged. And, that's when I realized like, we're here together all the time and I don't hate you at all. So let's get married. That was, I didn't mind. I personally, like, my experience with the pandemic did not drive me insane whatsoever. Like, there are people who really, to me, I had an issue where I felt like I needed to go out every single weekend. Like, it was a real thing of mine where I felt like I had to go out every weekend, or I needed some type of validation for it. And to me, it really showed like, no, I can enjoy my time being at home, and I could even catch up on some other stuff. And even to this day, like there's plenty of weekends now where I don't go out, where I don't feel like I need to go out. I've learned it was to me, I learned a lot from the pandemic experience of having to stay at home. So
no, I mean I'm the exact same boat. I didn't have a terrible time. It was a terrible time, I think, in the abstract, but like personally. It was a transformative time in a good way for me.
Thank God for COVID.
Yeah, that's how we see it. Yeah, but for you, like now, just coming out of the pandemic, you've hit 1 million subscribers. Congratulations on that. It's a big milestone.
That's cool.
What was the feeling? Hitting that mark. Was it a sense of like relief, or was it like a newfound like plateau of like, now I got to do more? Like, there's more pressure on me.
I knew it wouldn't really change it. I wish I had a more profound answer. There's been so many people before 1 million subscribers who had less followers than myself. I was talking with Steven from Nikki and Steven about this, of like, subscribers don't really matter as much as people. I don't mean like subscribers, like your subscribers don't matter. I'm saying like your subscriber count when it comes to views, a lot of the time don't really matter. Like, there's two kinds of, a lot of people don't know this about YouTube, but there's like essentially two kinds of channels. One's where it's mainly your subscribers who watch, like a Dead Meat James. Like, it's a lot of his followers, his actual followers who watch. And he needs that for the kind of content that he has, because his kind of content does not get recommended a lot due to the fact of, I mean, it does, but just because of the nature of the videos. But he really does, like, he has a great, like, and I think 3C Films does movie news. He has a great subscriber return. At least that's what I predict off of what the kind of views he gets in like the first hour of uploading all the time. Like, there's a solid base. And then you got certain channels like ourselves who YouTube views is like, you're a channel that relies on reach of like, not many people from our notification bells or our subscription box are going to watch us. So there are many channels that have less followers than us who do better view count on their average view count than us. Likewise, I mean, I could say that about some other channels that I know who have more followers than us, but we do better than. Yeah. So to me, it's never really been. It's like hitting 1 million subscribers is like cool and all, but doesn't mean we still have to work to get the views we want to get. Like, I can still have a dud that clocks out at like 15,000 views. It happened today. Like, I could have I could still have a video like that. It doesn't really convert to like, oh, this means views are easy now. So no, I mean, it's like, it's cool that there's been enough people willing to hit that button. But I still haven't even gotten my gold plaque. I haven't even chased them down for it. Like, I haven't. I should set that up. But we're at we have 1,100,000 subscribers now, and I still haven't like hit up about YouTube. Like, oh yeah, yo, I need my gold plaque. Like I was in the middle of moving at that time. Like there was like boxes and boxes the day we hit 1 million, and it was such a busy night. And then we went live, and I'm grateful for it. Not like I just want to throw shade at it, but it didn't change my mentality at all in terms of like, look what I've accomplished, look what I've done, because I'm like, nah, I could still have a shit performing video literally tomorrow. If I do not play my cards right with my thumbnail, my subject, my metadata in the description box, like I still gotta like I still gotta like put effort. I can't just upload anything. So yeah, no, it hasn't really, I don't think it's changed anything for me. I think if one thing that it's kind of helped out with is because like we don't really do, there are channels that I know like do brand deals like every single video, and only because of the fact that I've especially because like, you know, I can't keep working like fucking 12 to 15 hour days all the time. And I want to do a little bit less video. So like if I could just put more quality into like one video a day instead of doing like 2 to 3 videos a day, then I feel like this is better for the channel overall to have like, you know, you're going to get a qualitative video no matter what. So I have been wanting to do more brand deals, and I think it's might have helped with that because brands are like, they have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything, but yeah, we do. So go ahead, advertise this. Like I'm one of those people that if you give me an app to do a brand deal for, a lot of people don't do this, and I credit myself as being the guy who will do this. Yeah. It's like if you give me an app that I got to advertise, I'm going to sit down and play this app for a long time. I'm gonna play it for a while. Even if you're going to force me into a position where I have to only use your talking points, I'm going to find a way to interject my own talking point because I need people to know, like, I really did play this, and I'm not just trying to sell you on something that I have no familiarity with. Right. But sometimes the Mr. Sunday movies has talked about this, like the shit they come back to you with for like notes. I'm just like, what? You just it's a pain in the ass. Yeah. But no, I need to pay people though. Yeah. a lot of times a brand deal is like, okay, this covers that person's money for the month. Like that's what a lot of it comes down to is like, this covers John, this covers Coy. You know, a lot of it comes down to that. This covers the people I hired to edit. You know, like it a lot of times the brand deals do come down to that, so it does help.
Right. But now, post subscribers, everything. Is there a new milestone in your mind that you're kind of aiming towards, like subscriber count or not, like anything else? Like you're just sort of hoping you can achieve, within the year, 5 years, whatever.
Yeah, I'd like. There's some other people here. I've sometimes tried to force people to do force it on the audience a little too early of having them do individual videos, and the thing is I've been bringing on these other people, and I know, and I'm aware that you got to kind of transition them to having solo. Like it was a long time before Coy was doing solo shit here, where it wasn't like, this is weird. Instead of just throwing that on to people. So there's other people I've been having come on the channel that I really do want them to have more solo videos, and have those do well as well, Yeah. There's a lot of times it's like I don't. Someone I'm working with asked me if you were to pay yourself per hour, what would you pay yourself? And I've never had that question. And then through the conversation and doing metrics and math, I was like, oh, most of the time, if I were to pay myself, I would I lose money on a lot of the videos because I essentially don't really pay myself. I have a account for a business account for Real Rejects, and I just pull what I need to when it comes to I got to pay the mortgage. I got to pay this. I got to, I don't. But when it comes to a lot of these videos, I don't really. A lot of times I'm just maybe breaking even on for after paying talent and paying people to help put this together, and that's not even factoring in if I'm in the video and the work I put in post for editing or additional editing or thumbnail, all that stuff. I don't even factor any of that in for myself. So there's a lot of the time it is like, it's not to say I don't make money. Like I do make money. Like I do. But there are a good amount of times where I'm like, oh, I didn't make, like they made money, but I didn't make any money. You know, like that happens a lot more than I thought. But I do want to elevate more people to the point, because it's like, you know, what dawned on me is like I do need to kind of run Real Rejects a little bit more like a business, and not in the sense of, I never wanted to lose its heart and soul, because I understand what the emotional experience is that people have with Real Rejects, and I have to maintain that integrity no matter what. But there are qualities where I do want it to feel a little bit more like that I own a business, and that I own a business, that I don't own a job. Because right now it's like I kind of own a job and I don't.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to feel like I do own a business, where it's like, you know, like there's a lot of micromanaging that I'm having a hard time dealing with. And I mentioned on a live stream where I'm at this weird point where I thought hiring more people would mean less work for me.
Yeah.
That's not what it is at all. I'm actually working more now that I have more people.
Yeah, there's a quality control that comes into play.
Yeah, and I think there's leadership skills I lack in, like, it's funny. I'll tell you a little tidbit about Coy and Roxy Stryer. They did a reaction to The Thing, the movie The Thing. Mm-hmm. I think you appreciate this because you know their personalities. Because Coy's been like, I want to do things outside of comic book movies. I'm like, okay, fine. And I'm like, okay, you know Roxy. Sure, I'll pair you guys up. They did The Thing. Oh, man. They did not shut up the entire time. I make fun of them about it. I make fun of it to Roxy, and I make fun of it to Coy. Like that. I was like, wow. They know each other so well. They just couldn't stop talking the entire time.
I mean, that's a big part of it. Like, you know, I trust Roxy. I trust Coy in their spaces. Like, I know they're professionals in like a lot of different ways, but like doing reactions, stuff like that, there is like a level of skill and like etiquette, like to like understand like what goes into it for, like, you know, for the viewership, you know, mainly.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they had a good time, obviously, but for like the viewership, to make it like a kind of product to give out to people, like there's a lot of like ins and outs that people kind of don't anticipate, you know, if they haven't done it before. And yeah, like I always tell this to Drew too. It's like, I know she would be like a fun person to react to, but she doesn't have the etiquette down, which I tell her to her face. I was like, yeah, because you can't, you know, you can't look at your phone. You can't be eating, you know, while you're just watching a movie, like, you know, and you have to stay kind of on topic, you know, when you're watching something. You can't just like trail off into like a tangent, you know, for 5 minutes and miss 5 minutes of the movie. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. There is you totally get it. There's a significant level of skill that goes into it. That's more than just sitting down and just watching it. Yeah.
There's an awareness, you know, like I think about, like, I'm aware. Sometimes I see how the edit is going to be while I'm filming it. You know, like I can imagine. Like sometimes I gotta be aware. Like, oh, we need something to cut to, so I gotta at least express something that's going on in me right now. Like, we need something to cut to, or there's just gonna be silence. But yeah, they were, and I had to tell them, like, okay, like I want you guys to be yourselves, but I'm not gonna pair you guys up together for a walk. It's like when they're not with each other, like, they're fucking amazing. They have that etiquette down to a T when they're together, because they edited it, and I was like, why are they even talking about this for 2 minutes? Like, it's not about the movie. And then I spent like 4 hours on just the re-edit, just so that way. And it's so funny. It's funny to me now, and I would totally make fun about them publicly anytime I put it to their face. So, like, this is not some, like, you know, I'm not spilling any tea on them or something like that. It was an experience I'll never forget. Wow, how did you two just not stop talking the entire time?
Yeah.
But you've edited enough people to know that, like, yeah, there is as you know, some people get mad at us for making, John and I especially, for like, oh, you're making too many jokes. But I'm like, a lot of times, like, yeah, we do. We just want to make it fun and have the commentary, but, you know, we don't sacrifice the emotion, and we're aware that, like, yeah, we also,
Yeah.
I think commentary helps too because you need something to cut away to, and it makes an actual video. Then, otherwise, you're just watching people watch something like blankly.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like I said, I think the culture around it has shifted, so people understand the kind of ins and outs of like how these things are produced. But like, there's still like a small percentage of people who are like, you guys are just talking the whole movie. Like, why don't you guys just like sit down and watch the movies? Like, we can do that. We can make like a half-hour cut of like just sitting in silence if you want, just watching scenes without saying anything. That I don't think that'd be as fun.
No. A big part of it is the understanding the commentary experience, and part of the review is some of the stuff we're saying while we're reacting to it. Like expressing those thoughts and stuff.
So let me just wrap up. Final question here. So I want to ask. Again, you've made it this far with the channel, and something I always tell everyone, big or small, is like these places always have to be like an outlet for you. Like you have to have fun doing it. It has to be something that you feel personally attached to beyond just the counts, the business of it. So I want to ask you, is there a particularly rewarding part of the channel at this point for you beyond just money and business and like the number success of it? Is there something that you find the most rewarding aspect?
The most rewarding aspect is still the fact that, like when I just did Evil, at the time of doing this, I gotta like make a thumbnail for this. I just covered Evil Dead Rise. I just shot a reaction to that. And it's so cool when, especially when I really love something, that I get to share that experience. Like it at the end of the day, the most rewarding part is the actual making of the video itself. Like I enjoy that more than editing and that stuff. Is when I really do love something and I get to have that. Like I trust that if I am really in a space where I am genuinely enjoying something and genuinely having fun, that energy is going to transfer to whoever's going, well, most people at least. You still go like, who's this 2% that did not hit the like button on this video? But I feel like most people will still feel that, and having an understanding that even if it's something where I'm like crying about something, like if I'm getting really emotional and crying about something, that there is a connective experience that could happen there, and I like having an understanding of the catharsis that we could bring, or that connectivity that we could bring when it comes, because even if we're having fun or making jokes, that like the jokes are not meant to undermine anything. They're meant to just be a part of the experience. So to me, the same rewarding experience, the same rewarding aspect has always been the same rewarding aspect like that I've had this entire time. Like that has never left. Of like, I'll give you an example of how I finally figured out how to get our movie reviews to get views. There are a lot of people now, especially like now, a lot of people do them where it's like right at the theater reaction on their phone. Like there's so many of those now. And to me, I was like, if we just did our movie, because whenever we'd come home and then shoot a movie review, no one was watching them. Like for years, like we tried. That's how I tried. Sorry, I got this channel, didn't do anything. And then even when the channel was doing great, it just wouldn't do anything. It just did no numbers. It didn't do anything. But then I was like, all right, why don't we do what we do, but just do it at the movie theater? Like just do it at the movie theater. And just call it like a just got out of reaction video. Right now there's a lot of, I'm not saying we're the one. I don't know who really started it. I do know that when I was really starting to do it, there wasn't a lot of people who were also doing it. And but we go all out. Like we bring mics, we bring like a lot of people just go on their phones. Like we bring mics, we bring cameras. We really factor in like the experience of it, and we risk. We've been kicked out a few times for like you can't be filming. Like we've been kicked out a few times. Like we really give our effort to that, and the reason, and then it hit me of why like this does better than even if we just went home 15 minutes later and shot it, is because you're still getting the emotional experience from us because they're right out of the like you're still communicating that as like the reaction and review out of the theater, even though you can't see us in the theater reacting to it. This is still the emotional. There's still an emotional connectivity to it. And I think like the way to connect with anyone is you got to move them. Before you can move anyone with your opinions and shit, you got to move them first with your heart in some way. And And to me, I'm like that ability to connect has been my favorite aspect of this. You know, like you came to our last two live shows I did with Campy and Harloff, and I think it shows. Like I really love being up there. Like I love connecting
Definitely.
with people in that regard and making people laugh and having a good time. Like if I can just have, I know if I'm having fun, other people will have fun. Like most people, I don't know if everyone, but most people will have fun, and that has always been the most rewarding part of it. And I love upping the game of like making better thumbnails and things like that. Like I love figuring how to always improve. And so yeah, like making money's cool. I'd rather make money than not make money, of course. Like who wouldn't? But you know, I'm like I said at the top of this, that scarcity like survivor mindset has never left. I am not a spender. Like I don't really. I still like the look that people think I'm a homeless guy. Like I still like that look. Still like that appeal that like I'm the guy in his PJs wherever he goes. Like I'm not a guy who likes to spend a lot of money. Frivolously whatsoever. You know, sometimes I might treat myself to something, but more often than not, like I just kind of like hibernate money. And then I pay people, and then I pay myself what I need to if like this is the bill. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's weird. The most joyful part is like the fact that I would rather do this than work at a store. I'd rather do this than work for anyone. I'd rather the fact that I truly get to be my own boss. You know, sometimes I feel like my boss is my like subscribers or people who are commenting to cover something that I don't want to cover. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like I make that choice quite a lot now of like, you know what? I've seen enough of Oppenheimer. And Universal is going to give me a lot of crap for covering their trailer, and I'm going to have to fight them on a copyright claim. I'm just going to wait till this movie comes out. I'm going to skip this trailer. So, like, I can still be the guy. I can still choose that for myself. Or, hey, you know, like, I love Superman and Lois, and I know there's quite a bit of you who are, like, still, like, fucking cover this show, Greg. I love it, but I'm like, I just know it wouldn't do that well, and it's going to take a lot of time. And the show's getting canceled right now, too. And so I'm going to do that well. And as much as I love it, I can't do it. I can choose not to do it, you know, and not do it. And I could also choose what I want to do. So the same thing, I guess part of what's been cool about talking with you about this is actually it's been a rewarding talk for me because I'm like, oh shit, I did accomplish what I wanted to do when I first set out to do this, which was be my own boss and be able to be financially independent and be able to make a living essentially talking about movies. So I feel like that's why I love the movie reaction so much, because I'm like, that is what I've always wanted to do here is cover movies and share my experience about it. So,
and you made it. Yeah, you definitely accomplished that.
Yeah, I think I've accomplished my main goal with it here, and now I want other people to really. A big part of like Coy has been like he deserves more I really do believe Coy deserves more recognition. So yeah, and then like even bringing on like I want my friend Tara Erickson to come on more, Sally, like my friend Michael I've been bringing on for Star Wars videos. I'm like he's had this love for Star Wars. Like he has other successful business ventures, but he's had this love for Star Wars forever, like so passionate, but he's never been able to do anything with it. And now he gets to do something with it, you know? And so I think that's really cool when other people are afforded an opportunity who can come here. Even like Roxy, who's like, I've always thought was really funny and a chance for her to like shine through here. When people I do find it really rewarding when like they're being loved by the audience. Yeah. That does really genuinely make me happy when the reception for them is so strong, because that's cool to afford people that opportunity to do stuff. And, you know, like I'm big on, I can be pretty big on thanking people, you know, like we haven't actually worked together in quite a while at this point, but like even on our journey in the last 100,000, I was like, I still want to shout you out for where we've come, you know? So like I think a lot of times people feel like they I'm very much aware, like, it doesn't matter that I own this business, that I run it. There's no way I could have done it alone, you know? So yeah, and I think it's important to give that credit out as well.
That's great. No, very, very well said. That's it. I do want to do our final questionnaire, inspired by the Inside the Actor Studio James Lipton questionnaire that he does, the Proust questionnaire of rounding out the show. Just quick shot answers down the barrel. Starting with, what is your favorite TV show? Period.
Breaking Bad.
Okay. Good. What is your favorite film?
Matrix.
Nice. What stresses you out?
Low views.
What helps you relax?
Whose line is it anyway?
Really?
Yeah.
Great one.
And working out.
Yeah. What media outside of film and television do you enjoy the most?
Can music count? Or
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, music and comics.
Okay. What media outside TV and film do you enjoy the least?
Oh my God! There's media outside of that is not enjoyable.
I mean, not necessarily you dislike. It's just like the one that you don't partake in maybe as much.
Oh shit! Do you have any? Nothing comes to mind for me.
Okay, well, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take the answer.
There's literally nothing that comes to mind. I'm like, I don't like that.
What is your guilty pleasure of anything? Food, TV, anything?
Oh my God! I love Reese's peanut butter cups, zero sugar, and
Show sugar.
I love the show Love Is Blind. It's an amazing reality show. I'm kind of unhealthily obsessed with Love Is Blind.
A lot of people are.
As
I've seen.
I don't like reality. I really don't. I have zero interest. Somehow I stumbled into Love Is Blind. It's the only, like, to give you an idea, the last reality show I watched was American Idol. So, like, season 2 with Clay Aiken, you know. So this is the first one, and I've spent too much time online being like, what is this bitch been up to? Like,
that's what I hear. I have not seen it myself. I hear everyone raving about it, so maybe I have to check it out.
It is addicting. It is very addicting. It's a really great concept. It's a genius concept. It's genius.
What film or show do you wish you could erase from your memory and react to for the first time on camera?
Oh, fantastic question. Oh, that's a great one. Oh, like with a camera pointed at me? Oh, man. I would say okay, I got two. I would say John Wick 1, or there's a random pick here. I don't know what. I think it's because I saw this at 3 a.m, and I was very loud when a certain scene happened in this movie. And it's a movie called Dragged Across Concrete. Have you heard of it?
No, I have not.
It's Craig T. Zeller, the guy who did like Bone Tomahawk and that's Sprawl and Self. It's like Vince Vaughn, Mel Gibson, and Michael Jai White. It's a weird crime film. But yeah, there was like one moment. It was like a 3-hour movie, and I put it on at like midnight. So I was like, it's 3 hours. I'll divide this up. Next thing you know, it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm almost done with this movie. and yeah, there's a moment in it where I was like just by myself, and I was like, I can't believe that. Just like I was just like freaking out. So yeah, that I think just because of that one moment alone. But yeah, John Wick 1 or that.
Okay, great. What advice would you give yourself, specifically yourself, when you first started this channel? If you can go back in time, talk to yourself.
I would say learn as quick as possible to be comfortable with being honest with yourself and with others, because that's what will make you unique, and that level, and that's what, that reliability will last longer than anything else. You know, I think learning to be more honest on, because I wasn't always as strongly honest as I am now on camera, but I think, you know, that I've learned a lot from watching other people, because I've noticed that, like, oh, these people don't like a lot of things, so when they like something, I'm like, oh, this must be good. Like, it stands out to me. and I trust their opinion more. Even if I don't agree with the thing they don't like, I trust that they're honest. Right. And I think earning that trust is important. And a lot of people get afraid to go because a general opinion about something is so easy to access now, Yeah. Whereas so it's easy to kind of placate, to what most people are saying, or be afraid to be really honest or kind of sugarcoat your criticisms. But I think like, no, just really the more honest you are with yourself and with others about it, especially when it comes to your opinion about something, like don't give a shit. Just be you, and don't try to seek validation from people's liking what you do.
Yeah. And is there any different advice you would give to anyone else who would want to start doing this today?
Oh, today, yeah, I would say that don't ever try to be anyone else. That I think it's really like, it sounds like the most obvious advice, but people do it constantly. They look and go, what's this person doing? What's that? Like, you can learn from other people, but a lot of people copy too early on, and it's like, don't just copy what they do. Like, right. Like, you can learn from them, and you can be inspired. Like, I've referenced other YouTubers who have inspired me, or like I've learned like when I talked about the drama news, like Mr. Sunday Movies and Double Toast on how they handle it, and then I make my own version of it. But I think because no one else, the more honest you are with yourself about your opinion or whatever, or even your sense of humor, there's no one else that can be you. That's what makes you unique. No one else can be you. So the more you can be comfortable being you, you will stand out. Plain and simple. That's as simple as it gets. The more you can be you, the more you can stand out, and the more you try to be someone else, the more you get lost in the shadows.
Great, fantastic point to end it on. Greg, thank you so much for joining me today. It was long, but wonderful conversation. Truly. It was great to kind of pick your brain about this whole thing. Where can anyone, I guess, find you online? Social media, YouTube, otherwise, anywhere?
At Dat John Humphrey on Twitter. Follow Coy Jandreau on Instagram. And I'm either at the Greg Alba or at Real Rejects. One of the two. I dropped the recently. It's been very controversial.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone watching. Please make sure to share this. If you're watching this on the newsletter, please spread it out, spread the word. We appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.